The final play of the scheme is also another quick audible, and that is to play PA Rollout. Here from the left hash, when I motion square all the way over, I really like this to beat cover 4, and I also really like it against the blitz. So it has a dual purpose. We're going to put circle on a fade route. Then we're going to drag both triangle and X for underneath quick reads against the blitz. We also want to make sure that we block the running back in this setup sometimes, because if we think that a blitz is coming, we need to just stand in the pocket and get rid of the ball right away. So when we motion square over, when we're on the left hash, the fade is going to pull away the deep safety in a cover 4, leaving square wide open on the sideline. But that's also going to get open against a cover 2. It's going to get open against cover 3. It's really going to depend, again, about the underneath and over top coverage, which is where the drags come into play. And if they screw up and have a assignment switch or something like that, we've got circle on the streak. The next setup we can do from either side of the field. We're just going to drag X, drag circle, and then we're going to motion circle over and snap it right in behind triangle. This particular setup is something that I'm going to use to beat cover 2 with square. As you see, that's the deep post. Then we've got the drags underneath against the blitz, and we've got triangle as a route that's going to beat cover 4, cover 3, or cover 2, depending on the underneath and over top. Now, triangle isn't necessarily the deepest route. It's an over route, but it's not necessarily really, really deep. So you do have to be a little bit careful when you throw that route towards the sideline, regardless of if it's underneath or over top. As you'll see in the gameplay footage, you can certainly make those throws, but sometimes you just need to be a little bit more careful and take a look at how the zone is playing. The final setup is against cover 4 and cover 2. Here, we're going to put circle on a fade. Then we're going to flat X, option R1, and motion triangle over. Now, this is really nice against cover 4, but it's really good against any defense. But I really like it against cover 4 on the short side of the field, because we can read high-low really, really quick, and we can hit X or triangle. And typically, people are not going to run all the way to the outside, especially considering that we have X on a drag a lot of the times. So if they play a cover 4, this is a pretty safe bet. Then we've got R1 as a nice dump off if they blitz and they're covering triangle and X. And then, of course, we have square against a cover 2. Now, also, if they play a cover 4, depending, you might be able to get square on the sideline as circle takes away that deep blue zone. It could be a little tricky, but if you're playing against safeties that aren't necessarily the best, that can be an option. But considering that we have all receivers going out on routes, the chances of that developing against a cover 4 with all the block sheds are very, very low. So let's just get into the video right now. I really like the setup, and just remember, it's on the short side. So here, we're going to motion square over, and this time we're going to leave the play action. Now, I just started the game. It's 3rd and 28, so this guy sacked me 2 times in a row. I'm in trouble right here, so I need a really nice deep play that also I can get away from the corner blitz that he's sending on the left side. So here, as you see right there, he's sending a really nice corner blitz. I roll out, and then we hit the guy for a 1st down, a 31-yard pass on a 3rd and 28. Now here, we fake like if we're running. We motion square over, again with the play action. That confuses him just a little bit. It makes him have to kind of like, oh, what am I doing? And then he goes and he covers triangle, and we get the pass to square on the sideline. So you always want to fake. Anytime you're motioning from the left to the right, you always want to make it seem like you also might be running the ball. So make sure that you're faking the run flip, okay? Now here, we just quick snap our opponent. We put circle on the fade, and then we just run it right away. We can get him stuck on a defender, and I really like triangle as he cuts across the field against really any types of zones. I really, really like that. Now, I ended up messing this one up. I did not snap the ball immediately like I had planned to when he was in motion. I delayed a little bit. Probably lag was the reason for that. But we end up getting, the drop back. We're on the 24-yard line. And as you're going to see here with this square receiver, the 24-yard line is probably a little bit too close to be running this particular setup if square is going to be your main read. Because, as you can see, he's really deep in the end zone, and circle's not going to be able to carry a zone any deeper than the back of the end zone. So you probably really need like the 30-yard line if you want to run this setup. But for me, I just wanted to run it anyway. I was, again, I'm labbing as I do all this stuff. So it's going to be certainly something that I do. Now here against the blitz, I end up blocking the tight end. As you see, he's sending a lot of pressure, sending a ton of guys. We roll out, we block the tight end, and we get the ball off to triangle. I've only got 3 points in the second quarter, so he was playing really, really nice defense, and I just end up blocking the blitz. Now here's what I'm talking about for cover 4. So we've got X on a flat route, we've got triangle on his angle route, and we're also looking very, very quickly at square. Can we hit square over the middle? No, because he's covering it. So now, against cover 2, cover 4, cover 3, whatever it is, we see that it's underneath coverage. So now triangle is just a nice, quick, easy read. Just easy, easy read. It's all about underneath and over the top coverage. And you want to do that to the short side of the field only because the defender that's in the hard flat or the over the top cover, it's going to react a lot quicker. And it's going to be allowing us to be able to make the throw to triangle. If we tried this on the wide side, then they could still pick it off. Okay, so that's why we want to make sure. As you see right there, underneath coverage, it's not the deepest over route in the world, but if you see it's 3rd and 16 once again, and I end up picking up 15 yards on the play, even just with that route that didn't really look necessarily like it's the deepest route in the world. Against man coverage with the dual drags, play action, it's really nice quick snap. Here, I took an extra half a second, but I come out in the huddle right away. We put circle on the fade, and then we can quick snap immediately. And take a look. A lot of times, if they're sending a blitz, the play action drop back is really nice on this play because he goes back a little bit further than normal. So sometimes it can give you just that extra little kind of half a second, even if the pressure's coming. Now, with that said, you're dropping back, so you are allowing yourself to be susceptible to defensive ends getting off their blocks and coming around the edge and sacking you. So you do need to put that into consideration. But right here, I hit triangle as he goes because square was going to be wide open as well over the middle. So I end up hitting triangle. Just really, really nice route combinations right here. Again, I knew that it wasn't going to be cover 4 because it's a single high safety. And at the beginning of the video, I mentioned how I really like this against cover 4, this particular setup. But as you can see, it also does really, really nice against cover 3 as well. We see that they're playing over the top coverage. So the flat route is just going to be an easy, easy read. But also take a look at square. As you can see, it's single high safety. I'm playing the New Orleans Saints, so they don't really have a safety. I think they have Kenny Vaccaro. He might be pretty good with zone coverage, but he's not a 91 zone. So if I have a good receiver there, and I actually do because I have Diggs, he's pretty good, that can be a potential throw. It could be tricky. You're going to have to pass lead that. Single high safeties can jump those routes, but you can certainly still make that throw as well. If they didn't have 3 defenders on the right side like they do here, and I had a little bit more time, then because I have circle on the deep fade against a cover 3, and let's just take that user defender and pretend like he's in the middle of the field, well now square could potentially be a read against cover 3 towards the sideline. And the reason he would be that read is because circle would distract the deep blue, pull the deep blue away, and now once square crosses the face of the single high safety, then he can be open toward the sideline. Now again, unfortunately, I did not get gameplay footage of that. Normally, that's the type of thing that I would get gameplay footage of, but in this scheme, people just kept giving me this underneath stuff a lot, so I'm just going to get this out to you, and this is why we're going to do a little bit more pausing and explain some of the details a little bit more, so that even though I don't have examples of everything, I can tell you when to take what and how stuff works. So again, here we motion the guy over. We're on the short side of the field. We clearly see that it's underneath coverage, so I could go to triangle absolutely no problem. But we take the underneath route to the running back. These option routes to the running back underneath are a really, really nice addition, especially if you're feeling pretty safe about the blitz. You certainly want to do a lot of blocking in this scheme. Sometimes you want to be blocking a tight end and the running back. Sometimes just the running back. But for the most part, if they're going to be blitzing, that's when the halfback pitch really, really comes into play. It's going to force your opponent to have to stop blitzing as much, because if they blitz heavy, that's when the halfback pitch really becomes the dominant run. So if you start out the game by running that, you're going to force them to play a little bit back, and that's why you see in those gameplay clips that I really was allowed to send a lot of people out on routes. Didn't have to do much blocking because I was able to set up the fact that I was running the halfback pitch, and it keeps them like, okay, well, now I have to play cover 4s and I have to play cover 3s, single high safety, because I have to have more guys in the box to stop the run, or whatever the case may be. It's really the halfback pitch that forces your opponents to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't blitz as much. If you're a YouTuber or a streamer and you need thumbnails or overlays, definitely check out the website web3ks.com. He's the best in the business.